Evanston, Evanston, you ain't black.
Thank you. Evanston ain't black at all.
You ain't black.
And you ain't black.
Now, first, for people who may not know, Evanston is a north suburb of Chicago, and it's majority white. So if
It is.
if Illinois was going to give reparations to their black residents, why not do it in the city of Chicago?
So this is classic.
Is it mostly white?
This
It's
is
mostly white.
Lucas
Evanston
grew up there.
Yeah.
I lived there for a while. We had that conversation before when he was on my show. I used to surf in Evanston. I'm going to give some of my identity away. I used to surf in Evanston. I didn't see anybody but white people. Evanston, you ain't black.
Thank you. Evanston ain't black at all. So I can imagine how many families are in
You
Evanston
house
that are
Northwestern University, the Yale of the Midwest.
Black. Yes.
Wait a second. I am looking this up right now. Evans. Oh, so you spell it Evan, right? So Evanston.
I had to help out the head lifeguard once, and the chief of police. They were white.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here it is. We're going to look at this really fast.
Yes.
According to Google,
But they're so woke.
the Evanston population is about 75,000. Okay, so it's a good
It's got to be over 80%.
It says, is Evanston diverse? The 2010 census showed that Evanston is ethnically mixed with the following breakdown population. 65.6 white. Okay, cool. So it's got like triple the amount of white people as like LA does, for
But then
example.
how many blacks? Because there are probably more Latino people in Evanston.
Well, it's
than
got-
And Asians
too.
at the university.
And Asians, yeah.
Well, it's got 18.1% black or African American, and the national average is 14%. So that's pretty much in line with the national average.
Okay.
8.6% Asian, 3.6% other, and then 3.8.2, so on and so forth. But yeah, you're right. It's I mean,
And
almost
things- and it's gotten
70% of
better
the
since
population.
We, like, last lived there. I haven't
Right.
lived there since the early 2000s.
And I've been gone. I've been gone for about. Well, I still have two of my best friends live out there still, but I've been gone for about 20 years.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that it has gotten any. That's probably accurate.
But let's actually break this down, though.
Okay,
because
yeah.
I'm wondering, are there any criteria at all to receive this other than the skin tone of your skin?
Oh, so we're going to start to.
Because what if you're a first-generation African over here? Or what if you're a first-generation Jamaican over here, and your lineage is not even from the transatlantic slave trade?
So
What is the qualifications?
that's a good point too. What if you're just a student at the university, and you're from the South? You grew up in Mississippi or Alabama. Is that going to qualify you?
Well, here's what it says in the article. Let me read exactly from the article. This is from ABC News. The historic plan by Evanston, Illinois, is to make reparations to its black residents. Okay? It's prompted questions on funding programs, direct payments, so on and so forth. It says the first phase involves giving 16 residents $25,000 each for home repairs or property costs. So they're starting out with home repairs.
There are no
or
plantations in Evanston.
Right. But home repair, so I'm assuming they're just going to randomly, like a lottery, choose 16 residents to, here's money to fix your house. But who's to say that I have to use that money to fix my house? What if I
Yeah,
wanna
well,
use that
here it
money
is. It
to
says the
travel?
housing program is the first initiative in a historic plan to distribute $10 million in reparations to black residents in Evanston, according to the resolution. So my only real beef with this is I am a huge universal basic income advocate. We have talked ad nauseum about how incorrect you guys are in not liking universal
the
basic
UBI.
income.
We're in a. I got news for you.
And
We're in
how-
a democracy. It's 2-1.
It's 2-1. Okay.
Now let's break
So-
that down really
Yeah,
fast.
Well,
Break
this is
down
my
the
this is
UBI.
my beef. This is not universal basic income, and I hate it when people call means-tested welfare programs that have a 100-year history of failure UBI, because part of universal basic income is its universal nature.
Correct,
Okay.
but correct.
And if it's not handed out universally, then there's still the stigma associated with welfare. There's still all the crappy bureaucracy of means testing. I mean, just look at this
So
last
what would be a
COVID
good
bill.
example of UBI? Like what's an example?
Here's a perfect example of UBI. This last COVID bill that cost billions, if you actually did the math and decided to divide it up amongst the American population, every American would have gotten $45,000.
Yep.
Think
right.
how many fathers and mothers who have lost their jobs due to COVID that owned restaurants would be able to keep their mortgage paid and keep their bills paid if mom got $45K, dad got $45K.
Thank
and
you.
it was
Yeah, no, thank
distributed-
you.
Yeah, it was distributed universally in a way that doesn't stigmatize the recipients as
Right.
non-essential workers that needed a bailout and so on and so forth.
Not only that,
That's
but
a
not
great
to move it,
example.
but with Oakland, California. Lucas
California
could
is
get
one, too.
Lucas could go up there and get his $500 a month, but I can't because I'm white.
Literally.
Yeah.
They're-
Well, and then also here's the stupid thing. are you white? Because some municipalities say you call yourself what, the Jewish
The
evangelical Christian?
Jewish Christian radio prophet,
Yeah, so
political
some people are
prophet.
going to say,
Are you a
what is
minority?
white?
Right.
Oh, but
Exactly
you
now.
don't look like it.
Nope.
Right.
You don't look like it. And guess what?
My-
Oh, jeez, man. Now I got to edit that crap out, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
I got
but let me
mark
take
the
this.
point.
Let me say something let me go back to something you said, Cardin, because you were talking about public programs. And I did a little research right before when we were arranging everything. And this is being backed by the Blue Meridian Partners. And I looked to see, went to their website, and who's one of their biggest partners? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Really?
Wow.
So this is all being done, if I'm on the right thing, being done by privately funded money again, just like Stockton was.
Yeah.
Just like Stockton.
Well, and then Stockton failed because unfortunately it was just a big bail for that. I mean, it was just a big.
That was my next question. Is this taxpayers' money that are covering this new UBI reparations, or you're saying that you think it's privately funded?
From what I'm saying,
organizations.
seeing, and I have to put my reading glasses in.
Well, here's the deal. It actually
Is
doesn't
that-
matter. Well, here's the deal. No,
Oakland
it does
is-
matter.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was
If it's
incorrect. I'm
privately
sorry.
funded,
Oakland's
if
paying.
Bill
Let me be
Gates wants
correct.
to give people
I don't want to be
millions of-
fact checked. Oakland is Blue Meridian Partners. I'm not sure about Evanston. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Evanston, it says it's $10 million. Now, whether this is a housing grant given privately that should have been put towards something more useful, or whether it's
Taxpayers'
just
monies.
city taxpayer dollars, I don't like the idea that it's getting called something that's not. It is not universal basic income. And here's my other big problem. We talked about this, Lucas, in our last show, where whenever you meet a Democrat, I want every Republican just to stop them in their tracks
Right, and say,
and
"Denounce-
say, "Do you denounce the KKK?
Right.
Because you're the party
Yes.
of the
Do
KKK,
you
and
denounce
I don't
white
agree with
supremacy?"
slavery.
Thank
I
you.
don't agree with lynching. I don't agree with Jim
Thank
Crow.
you.
Do you denounce Jim Crow, lynching, and slavery?"
Off the start.
No.
And just right off the bat, because that's all they ever did to Donald Trump, saying like, "Oh, do you renounce, the slaughter of puppies?"
Right.
Like, okay.
Meanwhile,
yes, now,
forgetting Biden's mentor was Senator Byrd, a known KKK member from West
so
Virginia.
if you read further into this article, here's the details that bother me. Just like I think that they need to start saying like, will you denounce the KKK if you're a Democrat? It says this. The effort is to directly acknowledge and address, quote, historical harm done to Evanston residents throughout discriminatory housing policies and practices that were put in action by the city. The effort would prioritize descendants of Evanston, which I agree with,
Right.
okay, who lived in the city between 1919 and 1969 or suffered housing discrimination after 1969. The housing
No, that's important,
discrimination, they're talking about who were the people and what was the party that instituted the housing discrimination between 1919 and 1969.
Democrats.
That
Democrats.
was the reign of the KKK Democrats.
Yes,
Without a doubt. So let me
So the
add,
Democrats need to pay reparations
The
for the people
DNC.
they lynched,
Yes.
for the people that they abused, for the property they stole, for the redlining that they initiated.
How about the DNC use all of that billions of dollars they got from Black Lives Matter, and that money should be used to pay for stuff like
so
this?
my last show, I didn't poke BLM, but we can do that today too.
Poke
BLM,
it.
I don't think BLM has still spent one penny on a murdered black youth or anything of that nature. They're too busy trying to shove their agenda
They
through
haven't
schools.
spent one penny on black youth education. They haven't spent one penny on
Nope.
black families. They haven't
Nope.
spent one penny on black colleges.
Nope.
They haven't spent one penny on. They haven't spent one penny to just go to a black inner city and pave the potholes.
They
or
haven't
to
even
put a
gone
new
into
stop
Chicago
sign.
and try to have like a meetings and stuff like, hey, here's how you keep your family unit together.
Thank you.
Yeah, so look at this.
But let me go this. I got an ABC article up. Here's where the Evanston money's coming from. So if you're a dope smoker, you are about to get pissed off because it says here in ABC that it's going to come from the revenue for this program is going to come from the taxes on marijuana sales.
The taxes on marijuana sales. Speaking of the taxes
used
on
to call that-
marijuana.
They used to
I had
call
to
that
look.
racist.
Yes.
Because they said that it used to be when they said, "Oh, we want to tax marijuana." There was this huge argument that
That it
that's a
was
regressive
racist.
tax against the black community.
Right.
Because
Well,
it was the total soft
Because
bigotry
it's only
of
black people who smoke
Yeah.
weed, right?
No, I
That's
mean,
what-
and I'm not going to admit to anything, but all the dope smokers I knew growing up were white, and I had black friends. They didn't smoke dope. But going back to this, so I had to look it up because there's two other things I know about Illinois and most of the cities in Illinois. They're broke. So
Are they?
the money
Okay.
had to come from somewhere else. So the state's absolutely
Okay,
broke.
well, let me just finish off this thought with a little bit of data that I just brought up here. Remember how I said, okay, let's read the article. And the article says that we are trying to address historical discrimination right here where my mouse is on the screen. It would prioritize descendants of Evanston who experienced discrimination between 1919 and 1969. Okay.
From the housing.
Well, that 1919 date is really interesting. When you go to Wikipedia, the second and the most dangerous aspect of the Klan, the one that was featured in Birth of a Nation and shown by Woodrow Wilson in the White House, all right, that started in the small Georgia town in 1950 and flourished by when?
Right.
The year after 1919, exactly 1920, and became nationwide in the early and mid 1920s. So literally every drop of discrimination that these people are talking about in Evanston can be laid at the feet of domestic terrorist violence from the KKK,
And the Jim Crow era.
redlining, and Jim Crow violence
Yes.
and abuse perpetrated by the Republicans and Frederick Douglass? Perpetrated by the Republicans and Abraham Lincoln?
You know what? When you really think about it, that just puts it really more into perspective, because now it's not only was it the DNC who terrorized black people during these Jim Crow era regulations, but they basically terrorized us into becoming Democrats.
Yep.
We were held hostage into becoming Democrats. We were blackmailed into becoming Democrats.
You ain't black.
And you ain't black.